The Railroad Pass Casino in Henderson, Nevada, the oldest operating casino in the country. Over the years, fortunes have been won here and fortunes have been lost. But no one has placed a bigger bet on the future of the Railroad Pass than this man, real estate developer Joe DeSimone Jr.
Owned it since April of 2015. I was licensed thereafter in July, so I took over operations October 1st of 15. So about a year now.
Since we bought it, they mentioned we've replaced the roof. We've redone all the rooms with $1 million. We replaced the roof. There used to be a bucket brigade here amongst the employees.
It's interesting that it's expensive to own, but it's not. I don't think it's. I didn't buy it because it's 85 years old.
Then I did a tour of the rooms after the broker showed me the first rooms that were really clean, and I saw some ripped carpet and tape, and I said, that's it, we're doing the rooms.
It started out with the name Railroad Pass in the 1890s, but there was no railroad here. They were actually planning a railroad that would have gone from Milford, Utah, all the way down to El Dorado Canyon, but it was never built. In the early part of the 20th century, there was actually a mining boom here. It was the Alunite mining district. They didn't find any gold here, they hoped to, but they did do a lot of mining in the area, and you can still see there's tailings around here and that. But in 1931, we finally got a railroad coming through here. But they looked at 3 different routes to see where they were going to put it, and each of those routes would have moved where the dam was going to go.
Our railroad was built in 1931, and it was built very specifically to build Hoover Dam. Before they built the dam, they built 3 railroads. They built our railroad from down near McCarran Airport, where it met the Union Pacific Main Line, up here to the city of Boulder City, which didn't exist at the time because they had to build a city to build the dam as well.
They were going to bring the railroad through here because this was the shortest route between the main line of what is now the Union Pacific out to the dam site.
The city of Boulder was both dry and didn't allow gaming.
The main thing was you didn't want to try to get back into Boulder City if you'd been drinking too much. Because in order to get into Boulder City, there were federal marshals and a gate across the road. And if they smelled alcohol on your breath, the first time, and you were a worker on the dam, you were held at that gate until you sobered up. The second time, your family was brought out to you and you were fired on the spot.
And all of a sudden you had this wonderful place full of economic vitality during the Depression. And it's logical that someone would go about as close as they could get to that town and build a casino where they could offer some recreational opportunities.
The idea was actually to build a speakeasy here. This was a patented mine site. Because it was patented, it's a legal process. The federal government could not push people off this land. It was actually within the reservation land. The original owner was a fellow named L.B. Settle, and he's the one that opened it in 1931. Railroad Pass Club was the original name of the casino here. The casino was only the very forward portion of the building. There were 3 or 4 table games, and there were about 6 slot machines, but there was an internal door, and if you got to that door, you had to know the special word, the password, in order to get into the bar inside. Basically, during the 1930s, there was not enough housing for all the workers on the dam. So they would stay anywhere they could. If they could find a water source, then they would set up a little tent encampment and people would start living there. Was there a brothel here? Not per se. There were girls that worked this area and there were girls that worked in the area. The only one that anybody remembers the name of was called Barrel House Betty, and she was supposed to look like a large Coke bottle. I'll leave that to your imagination. If you read the newspapers of the time, people were constantly complaining about the fact that this was here, that people could drink here, that people could gamble here. We're trying to keep a great work environment so that none of our workers would ever do that, like any worker would ever drink or gamble. Who would have ever thought? Now, the other thing about Railroad Pass that's kind of interesting, this was also the nearest school district when Henderson got started. There was a one-room school, and it was, well, behind this building and up a little bit on the side of the hill, but it was here, and they were still operating. Today, people don't realize that there were actual small communities here. There were. That was all part of the history of this area.
It's a new industry, and thought it would be interesting and fun and profitable.
Next time on the Casino War.
Is it fun for you? Yeah, you should do karaoke then.
Got involved with it in '71.
Dad took it personally when people were beating the house.
But this casino caused more headaches for Sims Ely and the people that were running Boulder City.
I didn't buy it because it's a casino. I bought it for a number of reasons, not the least of which being it's a good business.